I wish we hadn't been thrown out like that. I wish we'd managed to find some clues as to what that speckled band might be. We didn't manage to investigate at all. And I imagine that we won't be able to for a while longer. We'll never get past that sailor guarding the door. He's clearly glaring at us, as if to say, don't even think about it. Oh, wait a minute. What is it? Well, what happened to our great detective friend? Where did he go? Oh yeah, he's completely disappeared. When did he do that? He slipped away as quietly as the wind, but not before ensuring these were securely back on my wrists. It looks like they're still investigating in here. Yes. On that subject, I wonder if Inspector Hosonaga is unscathed. What do you mean, unscathed? Surely you haven't forgotten, have you? Don't you remember what he said about allowing you out of this cabin to investigate? He was going to talk to the captain about it. He said he'd lay his life on the line for you. Oh, yeah. But I'm sure he was exaggerating. Let's see what he has to say for himself. He might have some new information for us. You never know. Is he even here? He's not even here. So do I have to go back outside? See, I kind of miss where it's like, oh, now they say something different. So it's clear that these letters were written with the ink that was somehow spilt on the floor. And they spell the Russian word for wardrobe. It does seem to be an unambiguous pointer to you, as you were sleeping in there. But to be truly unambiguous, it should have just spelt out my name, don't you think? Well, either way, one fact remains. It's hard to imagine that Kazuma would have written his last words, or word, in Russian, which begs the question of who did write it. See, I was wondering, I was like, oh, they don't have anything new to say. I'd like, oh, with a check mark. All the books provided for passengers occupying this cabin, neatly arranged on the shelf. They were all over the place when we first looked around, if you remember. Oh yeah, and you tidied them up, didn't you? You have to look after the ship's property. Unruly behavior in the cabins leads to damage. But it really wasn't me who knocked them over. Well, anyway, I feel much better now that they're neatly lined up. I can't relax when things are untidy. These are the rules of passage for travel aboard the SS Buria. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. So by bringing her pet on board, Miss Pavlova has broken the rules. She called it her friend, didn't she? Yeah, although we don't know what form this friend takes as of yet. I'm almost certain that whatever it is, it's inside the traveling case in her cabin. A friend. There's more to this than it seems, I think. Where did you go? Oh, sorry. I just went to the next door cabin to investigate. Why? Who gave you permission for this? Well, Seaman Hosonaga did? That new Japanese, was it? Later, I will roll him into ball and throw him in cold room. But he's gone back to guarding the door. I hope Inspector Hosonaga doesn't find himself in too much trouble on our account. He's really gone out of his way to help us, hasn't he? When we get back to Japan, we'll have to take him for a steak at Le Carnaval. That could be a very long time from now. Oh, he was there. Just had to move my head. This is where Kazuma spent his final moments writing his diary. 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Looking at his writing here on this page, it's almost impossible to believe that he's gone. Kazuma left us a valuable clue in these words, I'm sure of it. We have to solve this mystery. We will. Okay, hello. Ah, you're back. Inspector? What happened to you? Your face? Please, don't worry about it. They're just scratches. Made by a bear, maybe. When I told the captain that I'd given you permission to investigate, he told me he'd pummel me with his fists and then toss me overboard. What? But the pummeling was over in a flash, and he must have decided against throwing me overboard, so it was nothing, really. It looks like he wasn't joking when he said he'd lay his life on the line if he had to. Well, thanks to your efforts, we now know a little bit about the neighboring cabin. Yes, so I understand. Oh! I bumped into a man claiming to be a great detective a little while ago. I think his name was something like Herlock Sholmes? I don't think he was German, though. Well, that explains it. Shall we compare notes, then? We can tell you what we found out. Yes, let's do it. What? Nikolina Pavlova? She's in the cabin next door? Oh, you don't know do you know who she is? Please, what self-respecting ballet fan wouldn't know that graceful angel? Oops, I think I upset him there. Well, that tells us the neighboring cabin is unrelated to the case at least. Oh, how? Because angels don't go around committing crimes, do they? Oops, now I've definitely upset him. Inspector, has your investigation in here proved fruitful? If I'm honest, there's very little more I can do. Our duty is to make sure the scene isn't disturbed, ready to hand over to the Hong Kong police. So I'm just keeping a watch here, trying not to take my eyes off the job. Oh, I see. Ah, there is one thing. I do have a small piece of new information for you. Oh, what? Yes, do tell us, Inspector, please. What is this new information you have, Inspector? It's this. The Buria's medical officer has finished his examination of the body. I managed to obtain the report. Oh, Kazuma's post-mortem report? So, what was the cause of death? Damage to the cervical vertebrae is what's written in the report. His neck was broken? Yes, it would seem so. There were no obvious wounds or other signs of injury, so at first, I think they were considering poison. But it turns out they found no trace of poison in his system at all. Well, what weapon was used then? Nothing has been found as yet, but the fact that there are no signs of a wound suggests it may have been a blunt object, something that wouldn't leave a mark. Oh, I see. All the body's nerves run through the spine to the brain. A strong enough impact to the neck could induce death. It is a possibility, and no obvious wound would be left. Poor Kazuma. I have a second copy of the report. If it might be useful, you're welcome to have it. Really? Are you sure? Yes, it's fine. I trust you. After all, if I didn't trust you, I'd never have agreed to you leaving this cabin in the first place, would I? Ah. The post-mortem report has been entered. Oh, Mr. Sholmes was here, was he? Yes. He seemed to be enjoying himself a little too much as he crept about on the floor investigating. But then he suddenly left. I suppose he must have become bored. Did he say anything at all? Actually, now that you mention it, yes. Just one thing, but he practically shouted it. "It's shoe polish," was all he said. Shoe polish? I wonder what he meant. It was when he was over there, by the piece of broken glass, do you see? Ah, perhaps he was talking about this brick-colored mark, do you think? Ah, yes, that must be it. But how could Mr. Sholmes know that it's shoe polish? That leaves me cold, I'm afraid. I have no idea. What is it, Susato? Well, Kazuma was wearing leather shoes with a very dark tan hue. Dark tan? A sort of dark brownish red, then. Yes, it's a little like the color of red wine, but darker. I often repaired them for him. Oh, does this mean that this mark was made by the polish on Kazuma's shoes as they scuffed on the floor? Okay, the mark on the floor. That's really all I can tell you at this stage. I should return to my post. My fellow crewmen's eyes are boring into the back of my head. Yes, that might be for the best. Thank you. Poor Inspector. You look exhausted. Oh, no. Well. I feel terrible that I failed to protect Asogi. He was my responsibility. Of course, my pain is nothing compared to yours. You were his friends. The truth is, I seem to have had a heavy head ever since I woke this morning. A heavy head? That's interesting. My head's still throbbing too. Ah, look. Seaman Stroganov is gone. Strong enough? The burly Russian sailor who's always crossing his arms and glaring at us. Oh, all these Russian names are impossible to remember. Did you hear that? It sounded like someone singing. I did it the great detective way. This caroling. I know that lark-like voice. Well, never mind that now. This is a golden opportunity for us. Yes, you're right. We must seize it. Let's get inside Miss Pavlona's cabin while we can and investigate. Definitely. Before that stringy knot crewman comes back. It's Stroganov, not stringy knot. Miss Pavlova isn't back yet. Susato. Oh, where's she gone? Hey, what are you doing? Those are her private things. There's not a moment to waste. We must investigate as quickly as we can. I suppose you're right, for Kazuma's sake. Not just for Kazuma. What do you mean? It can't be long now until we arrive at port in Hong Kong. I don't want you to be in those handcuffs when we get there. Really? We must solve this case. By ourselves if we have to. Yes, we will. All the books have been toppled over together. Look, every single one. Do you think that's a god of the sea, perhaps? He's toppled too, though. It's exactly the same as the bookcase next door, in Kazuma's cabin. Perhaps. Perhaps Miss Pavlova was practicing a difficult ballet pose and fell against the bookcase? I don't know. Would she really be practicing ballet on the same night she ran away from her ballet company? Alright then. It must have been you. You lost your temper and knocked them all over in a fit of rage. Not everything bad that happens on this ship is because of me, you know. Well, anyway, I'll set them all straight again in here too. I don't like seeing things in disarray. Ah, yes, they're displayed in this cabin too. Look, the SS Buria's rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. I suppose Miss Pavlova realized that she needed to keep the contents of her case a secret after she read this. Her special friend, I mean. I wonder where her friend has disappeared to now. It's probably having fun exploring the ship, I imagine. I just hope Seaman Stroganov doesn't find it and throw it overboard. Oh yeah, so do I. Hey yo, are you there? Sorry, I'm right here. Yes? Why? Oh, good. I thought you might have climbed into the wardrobe when I wasn't looking. There's no place like home. Believe me, I don't have some strange compulsion to jump inside every wardrobe I see, you know. Well, anyway, I'm not sure anyone could fit inside this one. It's full of beautiful outfits. I suppose they're all stage costumes. I was rather hoping we might find Miss Pavlova's friend hiding in there, but no such luck. Oh my, Miss Pavlova's case is open. It's completely empty inside, but according to the great detective's great deduction, she was hiding her special friend in there. Yes, a friend that she had to keep secret, because you're not allowed to bring animals aboard the SS Buria. I wonder what kind of animal she had in there. And more to the point, where is it now? I wonder what this little saucer is doing on the floor. Yes, it doesn't look like it's been dropped, more like it was put there deliberately. Ah, do you think there could be a leak in the roof just above here? What? A leak? Is this ship quite safe? I'm sure that even if there's a little leak in the roof, it doesn't mean the whole ship's going to sink. No, you're right. Of course you're right. She's really trying to persuade herself, isn't she? I think that's all on this side. I guess except the bed. Oh, this thing. There's one of those next to... there's one of these next to the bed in Cosmo's cabin, too. Yes, it's a bell cord. I can't resist. She barely hesitated there, and she gave it a good tug, too. No, I didn't actually expect anyone to come. We don't want them to. We're trying to investigate in secret. There are just a few books on the desk. Nothing else, by the looks of it. Well, Miss Pavlova only ran away from the ballet last night. She's hardly occupied this cabin for any time at all. That's true. I wonder what kind of books she likes to read. Let me see. Yes, I see. It would seem that Miss Pavlova enjoys reading books written in Russian. Thanks. I think I probably already knew that. It's rude to ask too much of people. Kindly remember that. I suppose every cabin has a waste paper basket. Shall we have a little look and see what's been thrown away? It's poor etiquette to go sifting through someone's rubbish, you know. Ah, those eyes. She's looking at me like I'm a piece of rubbish now. However, these are special circumstances, I think. Exactly, we have no choice. Didn't we already do this? There's hardly anything in here at all. Oh, well, that's a little disappointing. It would seem this teapot is empty. So the natural conclusion is that the Russians are a very thirsty people. Or because Miss Pavlova only came into this cabin last night, she hasn't had the chance to make any tea yet? I mean, it could be either. It's definitely that they're excessively thirsty. I'd lay 1,000 to 1 on it. You're rather obstinate, aren't you? Anything else? The door, I guess. This cabin door has the same simple sort of bolted latch that our cabin door has. If the bolts are drawn across, there's no way anybody could enter the cabin from outside. Yes, it's not particularly heavy-duty bolt, is it? But still, it wouldn't slide across of its own accord, would it? No, and the door is made of metal, so there's no chance of trickery using magnets to unbolt it from the outside. And it seals up perfectly too, to stop any seawater coming in. So you couldn't use the method you told me of passing a thread through a crack around the closed door either. I seem to know a lot of tricks about opening doors. I'm starting to see why they suspect me. Did we miss something? Oh, the thingy. So this ventilator connects to Kazuma's cabin next door. Yes, although what a fool a shipbuilder must be to open a ventilator into another room. Maybe it's so that if there's a gas leak next door, the occupant of this cabin would notice and raise an alarm. Or the occupants of both cabins would die of gas poisoning. That is a possibility. Anyway, last night, Kazuma wrote that he saw a speckled band coming out of this ventilator. Oh, maybe I have to look at something because that guy isn't here anymore, so I guess I can... Oh, psst, the hell? Oh, it's Mr. Sholmes. Wow, you never know where he's going to turn up next, do you? He seems to be stealing a look at something as he sings to himself. I did it the great detective way. He's still singing. Do you think he hasn't noticed us? Or he's simply in extremely high spirits? Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when the yard bit off more than it could chew. And through it all, when there was doubt, it's lucky her luck was about. Excuse me. I solved it all and I stood tall. I did it the great detective way. Mr. Sholmes. Oh, what is it? You wanna fight? Honestly, interrupting a fellow when he's singing, and I was just about to reach the climactic finish. Sorry, I thought you were never going to stop, so I figured now is as good as a time as any. I very nearly dropped you to the floor with one of my famous right hooks. Alright, I get the picture. Now, could you put those fists away? Mr. Sholmes, you seem to be examining something before we interrupted you. Yes, that. I was immersed in the study of the ship's log, as penned by the stockily built crewman who's usually on guard here. Oh yes, the ship's log. And did you find out anything useful from it? Well, after 2 a.m. this morning, the majority of the entries are blank, which means that there was nothing to report. Nothing of note happened, so... You truly are a student from the land of the rising sun. You've been utterly blinded by it. Sorry? Your logic, my boy, is inverted. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? Observe the other pages and all should become clear. It would seem the same crewman oft stands sentry in this first-class passageway, and he has an almost religious practice of recording nothing to report every half hour. Oh, he writes that in every 30 minutes? Nothing to report. Precisely. Put simply, the seaman writes nothing to report when there's just that. And yet, the ship's log from last night is largely blank. He didn't even write nothing to report. Do you mean... Yes. There were circumstances afoot last night, which led to the seaman being absent from his post. What kind of circumstances? What happened? That remains a mystery for now, but we can be sure something significant took place. So significant that it caused the seaman to forget his regular habit of scribing nothing to report in the log. These are important details. I would stake my life on it. You must log the ship's log in your mental file. Now, that deduction was worthy of a great detective. Ah, you're starting to understand what my way is, I see. What makes Sholmes, Sholmes. Brilliance. Oh, ow. What is it? Are you hurt? Oh, don't worry yourself. I seem to be afflicted with a throbbing head this morning for some reason. Nothing more. Well, my friends, until our next encounter. He's still singing to himself. I can hear it as he wanders off down the passageway. Is something wrong, Susato? You seem lost in thought. It's just... well, I feel the same. Sorry? Ever since I woke this morning, I've had something of a headache. A sort of continuous throbbing. Oh, you too? So should we go back there? Oh, ding-a-ling, ding-a-ling. What is that? Oh no, Silent Hill. Shut down the engines immediately. Vessel sighted a quarter-mile forward. Full stop. Hard to starboard. All hands, brace for impact. What the... I think we're about to crash into another ship. What? I can't stand... Hey yo, hold on to me. Hey yo, Susato, you alright? You injured? Okay, I think I'm fine, thank you. It looks like we avoided a collision. I think. Yes, the ship has come to a stop. Oh my goodness, what about you? Are you hurt? No, I'm fine. Hello, is anybody in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like Inspector Hosonaga. Is that you in there? Unbolt the door, quick. What? The bolt? Look at that. The door's bolted. Did you do that, Susato? No, I didn't touch it. Well, that's strange. How did... And look at all the books. They're just like they were before again. Aren't you going to open the door and let the inspector in? I better tidy this place up first. Our violent emergency stop has solved one mystery, at least, in a very vivid way. But I knew that what awaited us on the other side of the cabin door would not be pleasant. I hurried around tidying up the cabin with a new sense of foreboding in my heart. Oh, well, that was short. That was short. Okay.